Welcome back from the news at 8 a.m. The AM News on Global Television. It is still Global Morning, and this is the first discussion for the day. We want to look at Serap, the activities of Serap. As a matter of fact, Serap is urging the Central Bank of Nigeria to make Nigerians disclose the amount disbursed to the 774 local government areas in Nigeria from the Federation account. You could remember the local government autonomy when it was actually declared. The court judgment said they should be given autonomy. Then after that, we've had that some disbursements and so many other things have happened. And today we want to look at the fact that Serap is asking the Central Bank of Nigeria to disclose amounts disbursed to these local government councils. Is it necessary? Why is it necessary? Serap has come out with a lot in the past, and we are actually going to be following it gradually. Why it is necessary, if it is necessary at all, if it is not necessary, why it is not necessary. What about other parastatals, agencies that are also being funded by the federal government? Do we get to know what is going in there, or it is still the handiwork of the governors, like some persons have said in the past? All of this will be forming the basis for our discussion today, and joining me on the discussion is a legal practitioner who knows what to be done and when it should be done, and he is also a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you join us. His name is Ejeh. It's good to have you join us this morning.
Pleasure to be here again this morning.
You're a barrister, so I'm rest assured that all of these things, because first of all, the judgment came from the court that local government should be given autonomy, and autonomy is you should now be on your own, and of course a disbursement should be done directly to you and not through the state government anymore. And now Serap is coming out to say, well, whatever that is being given to the local government, we should know, Nigerians should know, people should know, it should be disclosed by the Central Bank of Nigeria from where the Federation account is being disbursed to the local government, money from the Federation account. What do you think about that? Is he asking for too much?
It's not an issue of asking for too much. Let me be very, very straight with respect to the demands for Serap, or from Serap. If you look at the name Serap itself, you will agree with me that they will hold anybody within the system accountable. So, because accountability is one of the keywords in their name, socio-economic and accountability, rights and accountability project. So it's just because many of us as citizens have failed to hold our leaders accountable that bodies like Serap assist in holding them accountable, and when they do so, it hits the headlines. Now we have a situation where our constitution has clearly stated that there are three tiers of government. You have the federal government, you have the state, and then you have the local government areas or local government councils, whichever adjective you choose to use to describe them. Now, having this scenario, we've realized over the years that the third tier, which is the local government areas or councils, and which is the closest to the people, is actually not doing anything. They are moribund. You just initially you have people elected into area councils, you have them making bylaws, you have the local government chairman, and etc., etc. But at some point that ceased. You begin to hear things like caretaker committees here and there. Governors come and they just move out even democratic elected local governments. So many begin to wonder why we have situations like that. And then it became public at some point in time because they don't do anything at all. like primary health care and some other things are supposed to be the things they will do. There are roads that are supposed to be constructed or managed or maintained by the local government areas, which are not being done. So at the end of the day, you see that there's a detachment of the people from governance, because whatever the people will feel should be first felt from the local government areas, and which is the reasons why we have a lot of people expecting so much from the federal government. So whether it was research, investigations, but I know, like many other people do know, that what gets to the local government goes through the states. And once it gets to the states determine how that money or the monies will be spent. Well, for those governors who feel they should do one or two things, add some of those monies to whatever project they are going to do at the state level. And for those irresponsible, highly irresponsible governors who don't feel like doing anything, they just want to, they see it as their privileged position as a means to amass wealth, they pocket the monies. And then they tell the local government chairman, sign that you collected the 10 naira sent to you. I've given you 2 naira, but sign that you got 10 naira. And they struggle to even pay salaries. Initially, area council, the councillors at the area council, which is the legislative arm of the local government area, they are well paid. Initially, in the early Obasanjo days, they are well paid. You see people that are exposed, enlightened, wanting to contest for that position. Today, the story is different. When you walk into a local government area, it's like a desert. It's almost empty. The only services you can get from there, if you want to do certificate of origin and so on and so forth, you just walk into one office, they get. Apart from that, nothing is happening. The councillors, they go to their farms at the end of the month, whatever comes to them gets to them. So this has been the situation. And then people now feel, governments felt, this shouldn't be the scenario. And then they hit the courtrooms, and the Supreme Court says, look, nobody should touch the monies for local government areas. Let their funds go to them directly. So we were on that, and then, let me just add this a little. Then we also had the one for the judiciary. Now, while the one for the local government area councils goes to the issue of the tiers of government, the judicial angle to it goes to the issue of the 3 organs of government. Now, in the middle of it is the executive. That's headed by the governor. The governors hold the judiciary by the jugular because they control the funds that should go to them. And they also hold the local government areas by the jugular. And they have their own allocations coming to them. And that's the reason why they used to appear to be very powerful. There is a lot of resources, and then they have their security votes to throw around and rig elections and want to appear to want to control who even becomes the president at the end of the day. I will go to the political, what I perceive is politically happening with respect to some of those decisions as well. The decisions are good, but could or probably might be politically motivated, because these governors are so powerful with these resources. Now you now have judgments. Let what should go to the local government areas directly go to them. And then let what should go to the judiciary also directly go to the judiciary. And some governors went to court to challenge some of these arrangements. Maybe on the basis that, yes, it ought to be a state local government joint account, it cannot go to them directly, it must still pass. They proceeded, and many of them too have refused to comply with the judicial arm. But at the end of the day, we now need to know, because rumors are out there through the grapevine that some local governments have come forward to meet the requirements or preconditions for payments to them directly, and some have not done that. reasons, maybe there are some formalities from their end that ought to have been done that were not done, and so on. These are issues that we are entitled to as citizens. We are entitled to know exactly what the scenario is. Have the local governments met these conditions? What exactly are the conditions that is being required of them by the CBN? And if they've not met those conditions, why have they not met the conditions? Is it that the governors are refusing to allow them to go forth to meet the conditions, or there are litigations here and there that are stopping them to proceed? What exactly is the challenge? So Serap is absolutely correct to ask these questions. And then it is also proper that there shouldn't even be, we are not even talking about giving a response. A response should be given to that request. What we should be talking about here is how fast the response should come. But you know, as is typical of this country, maybe they are going to respond or not, it's still another issue.
But nobody asked when this fund was going through the state governors, why now that is going straight to, though I know accountability is very important and I know it is necessary, the federal government may have set up an apparatus to checkmate the activities of the council since the fund is going directly. But then, before now, have we had reasons to ask questions of how this money is being used by the governor when it was not going straight to the local governments?
This is the part of the political questions, and I'm going to be very frank. Whether we like it or not, no, we are used to the fact that our political parties do not have an ideological base, or maybe they have it on paper, but they are not being articulated now. But many of those in the APC, particularly those of the ACN extraction, have been pushing as opposition for true federalism. Now, the idea or ideological basis for true federalism is the reason why this push is coming up at this period, because most of these things, or basically all of it, happened under the APC government from Buhari's tenure, and then, you know, we are still pushing. Now, it makes sense, political sense to me, to say that, oh, since these men have been urging and pushing for true federalism, they are looking for ways to achieve that based on current laws. For example, I'm aware that Lagos State, for example, was the state who went to court over the issue of, I think, waterways. Which of the waterways should be controlled by the state and which one should be controlled by the federal government, which is a kind of telling the court to determine whether if the federal government, because before that time, the federal government was controlling all the waterways. Now, what they've done is to edge themselves out, and by virtue of that, the states at large, other states are being now involved, because they can now take benefit of that law to create some form of federal structure. And now, if true federalism will work, it means that each of these tiers of government must be independent and autonomous, financially and almost politically. What the federal government should ordinarily be doing is exercising those powers, those functions, carrying out those responsibilities that are donated to it by the component units. So it's no surprise to me that they pushed for judicial autonomy, that they pushed for local government autonomy or financial autonomy, and so on. And there's one interesting aspect of the judgment. The judgment says, do not give these fundings to local government areas that are not manned by democratically elected people. In other words, the caretaker angle and the whims and caprices we see the governors exhibit are technically taken out. Now, the issue now is with the enforcement. And what Serap is trying to achieve by this is to hold the federal government accountable, or those who appear to be the ones that will enforce this Supreme Court judgment, accountable for enforcement. Have this judgment, has it been enforced? To what extent has it been enforced? Impliedly, that's the intent of that request for information from the CBN.
All right. Some persons are thinking, because it is a two-way traffic right now, some persons are saying we don't even know if this money is really getting to the local government, like it's been said on paper. And some persons are saying if it is getting there, let's know how much. So right now, it is two-sided, all right, to know if this money is really being disbursed or not. We are not sure if this money is being disbursed. Now, that's one. So if the money is not being disbursed, what should be done? Then secondly, don't you think, because we're talking about power here, you talked about how powerful the governors became because of the kind of fund they access, especially diverting that of the local government council, because there are boys there. I'm giving you 2. You can take 1. You can just say I gave you 5 and take 1.5 for yourself and do whatever you want to do. And we have a lot of people being owed at the local government council. How can the powers of, because you are a legal practitioner, how can the powers of the local government chairman be checked so that they don't overdo themselves? You know what money does.
Now, you see, the way my mind is working when I put all these pictures together is, yes, it's good. The trajectory so far is good. True federalism is good. But you know, the governors in the middle don't want it implemented because it reduces their influence. It reduces their power and strength. It gives the federal government or the president more power and strength. So if the local government chairman is getting his allocation straight, there is an extent to which the governor can push him around. I understand that, yes, most of the times when you have a particular party, whether it's PDP or APC, governing a particular state, eventually the local government chairman will emerge from that party, putting into consideration the kind of democracy we practice, the kind of elections we conduct, which maybe will be a matter for another day. But the level of compliance with respect to the judgment of the Supreme Court is what we do not know. Are they even getting it at all? And you know, Serap raised a wing, a flank to it. Serap is also asking that I hope these monies are not being paid to supposed local governments in Rivers State. If the monies are going to Rivers too, who are they going to? And since there are no elected, democratically elected local governments there, by virtue of what the sole administrator did to those that were there, then who holds the funds? We want to know. In Osun State, they've been having issues for a while now with respect to their local government structure and election. Oh, they were supposed to go by December. They conducted an election earlier, maybe around September or so, or something in that like. And then they challenged the constitutionality of it, and the decision, APC is saying no, it's saying it favors us. PDP is also saying oh, it's in our favor, and there's violence and so on. Is Osun State receiving this money? If Osun State is receiving this money, who are they paying the monies to? When they are here to settle, the government at that level is not functioning. Or is it Lagos State, where they have how do we call them now? I'm trying to remember. They created something that wants to appear like like extra local government areas, and they tag them, is it community development areas or something. The funds that they release, because all the local government areas in this country, they are listed in the constitution. For you to create additional ones, you must
visit the constitution again.
Visit the constitution again. So outside these ones there, anything you do will be illegal. But Lagos has managed to give whatever they created a different name. Now, the monies that you are releasing, if at all you are complying with the Supreme Court judgment, when it gets to Lagos, how does that fund go? Yes, we understand that, okay, you can even urge the ICPC or the EFCC to proceed to invest, and they have said so, that if they've addressed, I've seen a press statement to the effect that if they give you money as a local government chairman, if you like, give it to your governor at the appropriate time, you'll be held accountable for those funds. Now, this is to say that, yes, these organizations too can call and ask to know the level of compliance with the Supreme Court judgment. But they've not done that. They are just waiting, if they disburse, how do the expenditures go? Are they used for their legitimate cause, or they go to somebody's pocket? Are the contracts within limits? Are they overinflated, and so on and so forth? So these are the twists to it. We are only praying that the CBN will respond and give answers to the questions that Serap have raised. If they do that, we'll be better informed. All of these hypotheses that we've raised in the course of our conversation will no longer be there. We'll be sure that, XYZ went to Lagos, this local government area, this is what they did. Rivers State is not collecting because they don't have democratically elected governments in place. Meanwhile, Fubara conducted elections at some point. But I heard that the sole administrator overhauled the whole system, which means for me, based on the decision of the Supreme Court, no local government funds should go to Rivers State. To
Rivers State, because they don't have democratically elected leaders.
Political crisis in Osun State, no funding should go there. And for Lagos, if there are elected local government areas, their monies should not be shared between them and these community development areas.
Okay, meaning the Lagos state government should fund the ones they...
Yes, their own contraption should be funded.
So if they have the capacity to fund it, they can go ahead.
Go ahead and fund their contraption.
And it's not against the law.
I have this community area, I have tagged this, let them have a chairman. It's within your rights. But whether your INEC will conduct elections for them is another thing. That should not be done. The only option you have, if you want things like that to be done, is to go for an amendment.
That's revisiting the Constitution again.
We've created this out of this, get legislative endorsement, which is going to be difficult. Because states get these allocations, the more local governments they have, the more allocations they get, kind of. So there will be a temptation
to create more.
I think that maybe that was the reason why their own ideas were stifled. So all of these issues are issues to be considered. So for those who have, let them take, if they have democratically elected system. Now, how do you get to know this? Apart from basic research that you can do, working from state to state and asking questions and so on and so forth, and putting interview questions out there and so on. Apart from that, the fastest way is from agencies like the CBN. Yes, we disbursed to this, to this, to this. This is why we disbursed to this and this and this. the CBN and the Attorney General of the Federation are responsible for the level of compliance with that judgment. So if the CBN is not complying, the Ejeh should be bothered, because he's the chief law officer of the country. He should be bothered. He should ask questions. This judgment of the Supreme Court, CBN, why are you not complying with it? Please comply. Oh, this is where we have gone. So I will also urge Serap, maybe some of us, if we have the time, to apply to the Ejeh too and ask questions with respect to the level of compliance of all of us, as it has to do with local government autonomy and the judicial autonomy.
Oh, okay. If I can get you correctly, what it means now is that we're talking about accountability. Remember, Serap is socioeconomic and right accountability program. Now, as it is, the supervision and should be both with the CBN to know who is being disbursed to, and also to the local government council to see what is being done with the money being disbursed.
It's very important.
So now, who set up this monitoring committee, as the case may be, or supervisory committee, or people to hold both CBN and, of course, the local government chairman to account?
When we kicked off with this conversation, I did mention that all of us as citizens are supposed to hold our governments accountable.
Okay.
It's because of our complacency or our refusal or neglect or omission to do that that bodies like Serap are taking it upon themselves to ask and push for accountability. So number one, every citizen should hold accountable is local government, the state government, and the federal government. Two, when you have a judgment of court, there's what is called enforcement of that judgment. With respect to our discussion, the Attorney General should be concerned with how well that judgment is being enforced. Like I said earlier on, through the grapevine, we don't have the details. We've heard that there are some preconditions that needs to be met. Some local governments have not met them and so on. And I said here that that's part of the reason why this call by Serap is very important. Let's have the details. And if you have disbursed at all, let us know. If I'm the AGF, I won't even waste. Immediately I get this news, I'll call CBN. Immediately I start seeing these headlines, I ask CBN questions and then address the nation with respect to compliance with the Supreme Court judgment. Because now it's even state AGFs should be concerned. Why are local governments not receiving funds? And if they are receiving funds, where are the funds going to? And if they are being trapped midway, why is it that they are trapped midway? This is not in compliance with the judgment of the Apex Court. But I don't know what the issues are. I don't know why. One of my lecturers used to give this particular question to every final year student. The question is, who is the client of the Attorney General of the Federation? Highly philosophical question. You can answer it anyhow you like. Just answer the question. Who is the client? Is it the federal government? Is it the citizens? Who exactly is the client of the Attorney Generals? So because many of them, they don't cough, they don't say anything, they don't do anything, they don't ensure enforcement. You even have, there are, until recently, there are certain judgments you want to enforce. If the Ejeh does not approves, that's if the judgment is against public institutions and agencies, it will not be enforced. And there are so many of them there that they have refused to approve. But thank God for recent judgments by the Supreme Court. So these are the issues. They are multifaceted. That's why I said there is a political angle to this stuff, this particular discussion. And there is the legal angle and other angles to it. So you can just go on and on and on. The problem keeps expanding and so on and so forth. Which problem Serap is saying CBN should simply solve, so that we know who next to hold accountable for the compliance or enforcement of the judgment of the Supreme Court, with respect to how it, with respect to autonomies for local government areas. And because of the constituency where I come from, with respect to judicial autonomy. This conversation was triggered because, you know, at some point, FCT, we had court staffs embarking on strike actions for this compliance and so on. When I leave here, I'll go do a research with respect to the level of compliance with that other angle. Because these are the things that balances the system out. If the judiciary continues to be tied to the apron strings of the executive, it poses a problem. You cannot get justice if you proceed against certain persons. During this end bad governance, there is a particular development that caught my attention. The decision restricting the end bad governance to National Stadium alone came from where that kind of decision has never come from. That particular judge has never done any political matter. But for reasons I will not state here, he did. He handled that particular one. So there's actually no independence per se. What kind of independence are we talking about? On your own, you cannot carry out housing projects as a judicial arm. You can't on your own. Oh, me and my fellow judges, we need housing estate to, okay, we prepare a budget and then we get it executed. They can't do it. That's why when governors are doing it, they'll be clapping. Then the CJ and other judges will escort them there. They'll be clapping. Which is not supposed to be.
Meaning there's even problem in the judiciary itself.
That autonomy, that financial autonomy is very important.
Because like from what you're saying now, even the judiciary does not have that autonomy.
It was pronounced upon. At some point, we had several strike actions across the country calling for enforcement, pronounced upon twice in favor of the judiciary. But what I'm not sure of now is whether there is full compliance with respect to that. I'll go look it up. It's possible there's full compliance because for a while now, I've not heard that issue burning. But it was almost at the same level with what we are discussing at some point in time. Give these local governments their money. Let us hold them accountable now. Let us know why certain things are not in our local communities and why people cannot stay there. Let us know. It's easy to ask your local government chairman questions than to go ask your governor.
All right. You said something about compliance while you were speaking. And what we're saying now is complying with the rules. One of the things that Serap is even asking for is compliance. CBN, play your own part and let us know how you are playing your part.
Exactly.
Then the people at the local government council play your own part too. I know Serap will also, because there have been time. I think the federal government, you even said that the chairman have been asked, whatever you want to do with the money, do with it. But don't forget that a day of accountability will surely come. Now, we have a lot of issue of people migrating from the communities, the local government council, to the urban centers in search of job and all of that. Do you think if this autonomy gets a full compliance, do you think that will reduce to an extent? And I don't know if that is, or I'm not a legal practitioner, I don't know if that is also part of what the Ejeh will need to endorse before the compliance can actually take place.
The the question is a socio-economic question, a socio-economic, probably cultural, and so on and so forth. It's a sociological issue. Now, why did I say so? The issue of migration from rural to urban areas is linked to certain developments, certain infrastructure, etc., at those levels. And now, if the local government areas are properly financed, will these things improve? Ordinarily speaking, in an ideal society, yes, there will be improvement. And if the society is improved, more people can take the decision to stay back. Because, come to think of it, people have farmlands in their communities, lands that they cannot, the land that they cannot exhaust. But they are here buying land in Kuje, buying in Keti, buying in Kwali, farmlands, so that they can farm in commercial quantity. Why? So some cannot go to their communities where they will even get almost land for free to do that thing, because other facilities and infrastructure to make life enjoyable are not there. In this country, as I speak, there are many areas that don't have electricity. Because yes, and this is another topic again, you need to buy transformers, you need to buy poles, you need to buy cables, you need to lobby the distribution companies to come there and get all of this done. Yes, do you need the local government chairman or chairman to do this? No. But is that the reality of our society? Yes. You don't need them to do these things, in the sense that we already have a near privatized electricity sector. And these functions and duties are functions and duties of the distribution companies. And you want to think that when you have, as a businessman, the more rich that you can get, the more prospective customers you can bring in, the more money you will make. But you see, for some criminal enterprises we have in this country who are calling themselves private, they are actually not private. The ones that are not stealing from the citizens indirectly will be doing it through some form of government subventions, subsidies, and whatever you call it. So yes, the local government chairmen shouldn't be bothering themselves too much with this. But the reality is, if they don't do it, the distribution companies who are supposed to say, oh, we now have this is a customer base that we can catch into, they are not doing it. Even in the cities, there are some places, as it's being opened up, it is the developer that will buy the transformers. It is those on the streets or in that area that will buy transformers. I know of a community along Airport Road. They contracted the transformer purchase out to an individual who bought the transformer in conjunction with a dealer. They brought the thing. They had their own agreement too, and the people in that community had to be paying monthly for that transformer till they pay off.
But let's get back to the local government council right now. Is it wrong for the local government chairman to buy transformers, or because I've heard where they said even the councillors get transformer for their ward. If this disbursements is really being done and there is enough money, is it bad to do that?
What the local government chairman should be concentrating on are their functions as stipulated by the Constitution, ordinarily speaking. Market, creation of markets, a conducive place to sell, what do you call it, abattoirs, and the local roads, the roads that are not state and federal government, they do the roads for them, they open up roads in communities and make it okay for them, agricultural related activities, primary health care, and so on and so forth. Any function that is not for the state, I'm for the federal government becomes residual, they take it up. And these functions do not include purchase of transformers for the people. Maybe before the deregulation of the sector, yes. But after the sector has been deregulated, no. That is a private area now for the distribution companies to do. Buy transformers for the area, connect them to lights. They will pay now. When they are paying, they don't pay to the local government chairman. They don't pay to any federal government account or purse. The pay goes to the distribution companies. That's why I said it's not what they should do, but by virtue of the reality of our own country, because things that work well in other climes don't work in this country. Nigeria is not a normal place. It's an abnormal society with abnormal, absurd behaviors. So that is why, for the sake of mental health, some people have stopped even discussing this country. What works in other climes don't work here. If there was the business of a councillor, local government chairman, reps member, and so on and so forth, what's my business with buying transformers?
But what if it's not done by the people who are supposed to do it and they do it? Is it a crime, or is it against it's not against the law?
It's not against the law.
Since it's not stipulated in their own.
Yeah, but it's wrong.
Because that money would have been used for something
other
else.
things. There are communities where they travel far to access basic medical care. No, you will see a very big community. One room of primary health care, this thing is not there. If you send people there, they won't even stay. I know communities who have made efforts to donate structures for doctors and nurses, for civil defense, for as police posts, and so on, so that they can have at least some fair share of living nice. But the people will not stay. There's nothing there to keep you. So they step out. If they have emergency medical situations, then there's problem. Some of these communities just have people who are chemists, and out of their experience, they begin to call them doctors. They who attend to people. They don't go to any formal school, but they are doing the work. And how will they get healthcare when even in the cities, the doctors we have are overwhelmed? So who will you post there? And the cities are even places where these governors, and in the case of the FCT minister, have so much funds to do so many things.
Alance, the primary health care in FCT is on strike.
I didn't want to even mention it, but somehow the conversation is going there, and the governor, the minister was saying the other day, I gave you money to pay teachers. You didn't pay teachers. What did you do with the money? And so on and so forth.
Meaning there are some people who are trying to frustrate the effort of the minister.
Somewhere. Whether it's a political statement, whether it is true, since nobody has come to say, no, you didn't give us money to pay teachers, I take it to be true.
All right. The way it is right now, I think we have so much, apart from Serap coming up to say every disbursement being done by the Central Bank of Nigeria to the 774 local government councils in Nigeria. There are so many other areas that also needs to be checkmate. A lot of compliances needs to be done. Whatever the court have said needs to be done. Who is getting this allocation and who is not getting it? Who has the autonomy as we speak and who doesn't have it? All of this needs to be taken into cognizance. We've been discussing with a legal practitioner, and he has been trying to make us understand one or two things. In his own opinion, so far, we need to do so much in this country so that at least people who are supposed to be held accountable can be held accountable. So before we actually round up, our time is up. But before we round up, What would you have to say? Because so many times Serap have come to say, well, they've even tried, we've even seen situations where they sue presidents, they sue governors. As a legal practitioner, this suing that happens all the time, have there been results?
Of course, you will always get results. It's either the court says yes to your reliefs or claims, or the court will say no to your reliefs or claims. If the court says yes to your relief or claims, you move to the next level, which is the level of, what do you call it, enforcement. So if you proceed to court, whether it's a yes or no, it's a result. That is the outcome of your litigation. Now, if it is a yes for you, then it means you need to enforce. So the issue of enforcement comes to bear, which is the stage we are with respect to the topic of discourse. Compliance, enforcement of the Supreme Court judgment with respect to financial autonomies for local governments. So you can imagine the scenario now. Stretch it, apply it to every other scenario, every other thing that happens in the courtroom. So this enforcement part is what Serap is doing. We need to know whether you have complied. So if nobody is pushing, nobody is asking questions, and they are not doing anything, it means there was a result from court that has not been enforced. Meanwhile, it wasn't Serap's litigation that led to that decision. Anyways, just to clear the air, maybe somebody is watching out there and is beginning to feel that, oh, nah, Serap took them to court, this, that. No, it wasn't Serap. It was federal government, state government affair. Now, the judgment is out. It's a public interest matter, and we are all interested in it. We should be interested in it. And Serap is saying, yes, as a citizen of this country, because by virtue of their registration, they are persons in the eye of the law. I also need to know whether you have complied. So we just await the outcome, and because they've said, oh, if you do not, carry out the recommended measures within the time stipulated, they will resort to some legal actions. So if they don't get a response, maybe the legal action they will take is to sue the CBN for that information.
So
and when they do so, they'll be doing so rightly.
So what's the last word for the CBN and Serap right now?
I'll just urge the CBN, give them the information. Me too, I'm interested in that information. So that bias, yes, that bias is there for me. So I will just urge them to make this information public. Let us know if there is compliance, if there is partial compliance, if there is no compliance, and why. Then I also urge Serap, if this information doesn't come out, they should take that legal action that they seek to take. And then let's know what's happening. Because we need to hold these leaders accountable any way legally possible.
All right, we need to hold this leadership accountable any way possible. And that's exactly what Serap is doing. We've heard several times where Serap sue authorities. And of course, this is a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst speaking to us in the person of Monday, Ejeh. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning.
The pleasure is mine once again.
All right, we will continue with the rest of the program. The Global Morning Show continues after this break. We'll be right back.